Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the first ever 12th episode of Baseball versus the World, a podcast about how baseball relates to the world and how the rest of the world relates to baseball, part of the Just Baseball Media Network, a fantastic website as always. I am your host and guide on this maiden voyage through the vast cosmos of all things baseball, Javier Reyes, staff writer here at justbaseball.com. Again, great website, as well as the host of the Locked On Padres podcast. Today's episode is another special one. It is special for a myriad of reasons, right? A litany of reasons, a multitude of reasons, just to throw out the vocabulary. I'm being joined by my first returning guest on this show.
That means I did good the first time.
Budowsky, how are you doing, sir?
Good, man. That means I did good the first time if you had me back. And Jack, Peter, whoever else has been on, you got some work to do.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I mean, I think that Jack did an okay job, all things considered. I think he was clearly on his Diva Hollywood thing and everything. He's like, oh,
what else is
sorry, I got to go, cover the Major League Baseball draft.
Right.
And
call Paul
people
Skeens.
care about that. Yeah,
right,
call Paul
exactly.
Skeens and all that nonsense that they're up to over there. But not only is this a fun episode because Ethan is back, because look, let me tell you, Ethan's first appearance, it was not a quiet one. I'll tell you that much. It was one filled with, in my opinion, some of the worst takes ever mentioned on this show. I think that they're up there. I think that a lot of them can be forgiven. I think a lot of them are just preference. I'll let the Angels slide. You know what I mean? For those who don't know, go check out. Last episode we did was ranking the City Connect uniforms, all the ones that we have right now, at least. We didn't get to the Mets. I think we did.
No,
get to
the Mets had just come out.
The Mets had just come out when we did it.
There's been one that came out since. I can't remember which team it was. The Dodgers new ones came out.
Dodgers new ones,
the
right?
The Twinkies released. Those are terrible.
Right.
Those are just absolutely awful.
I don't even remember those.
I just think at this point it's time to shut down the City Connect lab completely and just blow up the whole experiment and just get rid of it. We'll see, though. We might have some City Connects, coming back around today. We'll see. We might be discussing some of those again on this show. So
it's funny because looking at the Twins City Connect, I don't think they're that bad. But my thing is where's the Twin Cities thing? You know what I mean?
Right.
What are you? The Chargers?
The problem that I have with these is that they just look like the Rays or the Phillies. They just look
right.
Now they're
Rays
just in reruns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're in syndication and now they're rerunning on Nick at Night. And it's just it's time. I'm telling you, it's just time to blow it up. The Dodgers ones were almost really good. And then they did this weird thing where the numbers are cut off at the bottom and the names are under the numbers. And it's just blow it up. Just whoever's coming out next, just don't even do it. Just stop. We've had enough. It's time to move on.
Amen, brother. And speaking of bad uniforms, you might be wondering, well, why the heck are you having Ethan on? Just to talk about City Connects again? Well, we might talk about some City Connects, but today we are doing our personal top 10 list for the worst baseball uniforms in history across anything. Fictional, minor league baseball, major league baseball, City Connects, all-star, whatever you want is on the table. And frankly, there are so many to choose from that we had to kind of limit it to 10.
It's crazy.
And I really do think that you can pick so many that are really bad. My number one is probably going to surprise a lot of people, at least people who don't know me. People who do know me are not going to be surprised by this. But we're going to go through all of those, and we're also going to give, just to have some levity and light on this show, we're going to also talk about our personal favorite uniform in all of sports after this. That may include baseball, may not, whatever. We're going to have fun talking about that because you got to be positive at some point. And then we're going to give our worst take of the week. Back to the awards segment of the week. We haven't had one in a while, and boy, have there been some bad takes over the last couple weeks. Including in baseball.
There's always bad takes, Hobby. But just I am still processing all of sports, my favorite uniform. I think I have an idea. I have one that's very special to me that I'm going to mention. It's right to the left of me, and I'm going to mention it because I want to get this story out into the public. So we'll go over that in a minute. But let's dive into the worst baseball uniforms here.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's start with you because you are the guest. Your 10th worst baseball uniform in history. To start things off, I'm excited for this because I think that you are someone who loves to hate. And I think that this is where you will thrive.
I'm a hater.
So Ethan, I'm the uniform man. Let's do it.
I'm a proud hater. Hating never takes a day off. So before we get to number 10, I have one OLI outside looking in.
Okay.
And this is because I was doing some research because honestly, I'll be honest, there's not a lot of bad baseball uniforms. Like if you read
Yeah.
my baseball uniform review that I do every year where I rank all the teams' uniforms, I usually start by prefacing that a lot of these are good. They're just not as good as the other ones. And in the category of good, like there's way more good uniforms than there are bad uniforms in baseball, but there have been some mega misses. So in the process of researching, I found this uniform that I just couldn't believe. And so the only outside looking in, the only OLI I have is this Pirates red uniform from 2008. Have you seen these bad boys, Javi?
Yes, this was on my list. This was
Dude,
on my list. We're off to a great start.
I had never seen these before.
Yeah.
But wow. I'm usually a sucker for a vest. Like, I think we need to bring those back. Like the Rockies going away from their vest, terrible. The Diamondbacks going away from the white with purple sleeves, terrible. The Marlins used to have vests back in the day. I think that was a great trend in the 90s. But woo boy, these were not good. Something just went wrong here, like in the process of designing, that was just really awful. And these came out really bad. So the Pirates red uniforms from, I think they were 2008. I don't know if you can put pictures up here in post or whatever, Javi, so people can see how bad these are.
We'll
but
try.
If you can't see it, if you're listening on audio, whatever, Google these as we go along with us because these are so bad. And the Pirates have great colors. They have great uniforms. And I always like that there's a little bit of red in their set. And we'll talk a little bit more about them using red later on. But these were just bad. So OLI, Pirates red 2008. Now let's dive into number 10.
Okay, go for it.
Number 10 is every Rays uniform since they ditched the purple and green. Every single one of them. They haven't had a good uniform since. Like, I'm nostalgic for the green Devil Rays, like when they were that weird, like not really hunter green, not really aqua, like just weird in between color from like, I don't know what year they ditched the purple and green, but I'm talking the Rays the Devil Rays just before they became the Rays, like Carl Crawford, Rocco Baldelli Rays, maybe even Lyle Overbay was a Ray in there somewhere. Like just teams that nobody ever gave a shit about. 4,000 people in the Trop watching these godforsaken teams. The beginning of Joe Madden's run. Everything since then, and their current uniforms are terrible. I think I ranked them second to last in my uniform rankings this year, I believe. They're always towards the bottom. They're just so fucking bad. I mean, just terrible, terrible uniforms. The navies are bad. They made baby blue bad. I don't know how they did that, how you can possibly make a bad baby blue uniform, but they did. So number 10 on my list is every Rays uniform since they ditched the purple and green. Go back to that. More teams need to just go back to what was working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's one of my all-time favorite sayings. It's one of my pillars in life. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Rays uniforms were not broke, and for some reason they fixed them, and they're a disaster ever since.
Excellent pick. I think. I don't hate the Rays as much. I don't know. They just I do agree with what you're saying. I don't think they're good. But worst ever? I don't know. I don't know if it's worst ever. But
they're bad.
I will say the Rays have been it feels a little soulless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like you're
There's nothing going on.
Something really cool. And it's just like you settled. It feels like they settled too much.
Which completely
frankly
agree with
describes the entire history of the Tampa Bay Rays, dare I say.
That's a great argument, dude, honestly, because it's just like they're just boring. Like their uniforms are just boring. Like the navies have navy letters, so you can't really see the letters. Like it just blends, it just looks bad. And there's something about the lighting in the Trop too that obviously makes their uniforms look worse because that place is such a dump. But like, I'm never been a fan of the Rays uniforms, except, and like I said, I'm nostalgic for those green Rays because those were the Rays that were on MVP baseball. And, you know, those were the Rays when I was coming up as a kid. And you can pretty much get me with any uniform from like 2003 to 2009, you know, including those Blue Jays. Oh man, the black Blue Jays. But, you know, anything from then, like I'm nostalgic for, but I just have to admit that these were terrible. So Rays, if you're listening for whatever reason, go back to the purple and green. Just do it. It worked and it wasn't broke, so don't fix it.
Hey man, hey, at least they somewhat redeemed themselves with the City Connect. At least they had that. I think so. Maybe you should
Their
say
City
everything
Connects are
except
solid.
the City Connect. The City
Yeah,
Connects are
their City
solid, and they
Connects are
give a
solid.
little bit of that throwback.
And I'm
My number
actually going
10.
to
Oh, go
single
ahead.
out, sorry, just before, I'm
Mhm.
going to single out a very specific Rays uniform in a minute here, just as a teaser.
Okay, there we go. Number 10 for me. Look, I'm also gonna lift the veil. Part of this is me shooting from the hip. I have all my selections. I only know what my number one is for like worst uniforms, so I don't know the exact order. So we're gonna kind of play this by ear. But for me, I'm gonna be petty because I'm still freaking mad at you for this shit. It is the Baltimore Orioles City Connect at number
Oh,
10
they're
for
so
me.
bad. They're
So
so
here's
bad.
the thing. In a vacuum, yes, you could convince me this is not one of the 10 worst uniforms ever. Here's my counter. I literally think that they made a better version of this, and it's their normal black uniform that
Mhm.
just has the Baltimore on it.
Yeah.
All they fucking did with their City Connect. Okay, cool. They have the little colors on the neck thing. No one actually is like noticing that first. Let's be real. All they did was
Mhm.
replace the font and put Baltimore. It is
So
the
bad.
SNL skit with Ryan Gosling, Papyrus. It is the SNL skit. I swear they typed in security guard font and they were like, cool, put Baltimore, slapped it on a uniform, called it a day. This is probably something that John Angelos approved, Lord knows, because of his lazy ass, thing that he was doing. I
Dude,
refuse
what
to believe that the new owner allowed this. They were already in production. They
right.
had no choice. I just think the fact that I just think they're so by far the worst City Connect. And it says a lot because it's a black uniform. It's pretty
Yeah.
hard to make
How do you
bad
mess that up,
black
right?
uniforms. It just looks bad. You know what I mean? It
There's
looks
a
like a
pretty
badass uniform, but these
there's a
I'm
pretty
so insulted by the font. I can't get over the font.
sorry. There's a pretty
Mhm.
distinct line of demarcation from when the City Connects were pretty good to when they got bad and boring. And it's the
Yeah.
Cincinnati and Baltimore ones because it just seemed like they just gave up. Like, and I don't want to do too much rehash from when we did the City Connect uniform, but one point I'll
Yeah.
bring up from then is
Mhm.
that we mentioned Maryland has an awesome flag. And the University of Maryland
Yeah.
does a lot of really cool and
Mhm.
unique things with their uniforms involving the flag. And I just think like, why couldn't they have done something with that to be really cool and really fun? So yeah, those are a stinker. I rank them like in the middle of my City Connects list. I wouldn't say they're 10 worst of all time, but those are absolutely a stinker, especially because those have good uniforms, man. Like I really like
Yeah.
those uniforms. I think they should
I
be
mean,
better.
orange, man. It's
They're
great.
they're they're
Yeah.
good. They're good. I think they were in my category every year that the good that should be better. But they're
Mhm.
pretty good.
Mhm.
And it's just like, they really let Baltimore down with those.
They
All right.
really did. I'm going to skip really quickly to my number 9 only
Yeah.
because it is what you already brought up, the Pirates 2008 alternate
Yeah.
jersey. I kind of there's a world where I understand. Like I get what happened. Someone was making the uniforms, they were designing in the lab, the movie Air with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, except that they got hammered and forgot a piece. I just think that there was something else here. I think they were like, yo, what if we like really do like a pirate vest? They're like, yeah, man. Arr! And then they did it. And then they woke up the next morning. They're like, wait a minute, our colors are already cool. What are we doing? This
Yeah.
looks off.
Yeah.
So that's my number 9. But I second all of the things that you said about them already. So go ahead.
All right. So my number 9, this is one that can really kind of go either way. Like some people will think, oh, this was great. Some people will think, oh, this is terrible. It's on a lot of worst uniforms lists. It's the White Sox 1976 shorts when they wore the shorts for one game in 1976. Have you ever seen these? You look
No.
puzzled. You look like you've never seen these. The
No, I've
White
been
Sox
looking them up
wore
now.
the White Sox wore shorts for a game in 1976. Not only did they wear shorts, the uniforms had a collar on them. Like how sometimes soccer uniforms have like polo collars
Oh
on
my
them.
god.
I'm waiting to see. Yeah. Oh my God is
Oh,
right.
oh dear.
You've never seen
Oh
these?
dear.
Dude, these are
Oh
a
dear.
classic terrible uniform. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh yeah.
dear.
Can you
Oh
believe this was a
no.
thing, dude? Can you believe this was a thing? They were
I mean,
running around.
yeah, I
First of all,
can.
they were
But
playing
yes.
baseball. They were playing baseball, a game where you slide into clay. And back then, God knows what was in the infield, dude. You had, beer bottles and
Yeah.
fucking, plastic bits in there. So, I mean, can you imagine sliding in shorts, dude? Like, oh, so bad. Just bad. Just the design isn't necessarily terrible. It's just the idea of wearing shorts on a baseball diamond and a collar like it's 1847,
Yeah.
like just absolutely ridiculous. So the whole combination, the navy and white isn't that bad, and that era of Sox uniform is actually pretty good. But these were just, I mean, there's a reason they only wore them once, dude. And
It's
there's
the
a reason
collar,
that,
man.
considering that they wore them once, they're still so iconic for being so bad. That's how bad they were.
This is pretty bad. It's the collar. That collar thing is like, oh, look at me. I'm a sailor boy and I'm going to go play baseball. Like some Popeye ass looking uniform. Like, it's just really, that's tough. And the only reason why I don't think this is on my list, unless I miscalculated and I need one at the very end that I'm going to have to put in because I procrastinated. Other than that, the only thing that I will say is it is 1917. You know what I mean? So part of me is like, well, these doofuses didn't know what they were doing, and someone definitely was drunk making these probably back then. So
absolutely.
that's my only thing with it. But
70s. Oh my god.
you raise a good point. I think that these are truly pretty
Truly
these are rough.
awful. Yeah.
These are rough. My next one
All right.
on the list.
Your number, what is this? This
is going to be my number 8. This is my number 8. So I struggled with where I wanted to rank these because on one hand, I do kind of like just the chaoticness of it, and I, even when I'm saying it now, I kind of don't want to do it. I don't know if I want to put them. I'm struggling.
Say it.
Should I say it?
Say it.
You know what? I'm gonna say it for no other reason than I refuse to go an episode, an article, a tweet, a month, a prediction, a take that has to do with things that are bad and not mention the Boston Red Sox. So for my number 8 pick, I'm going with the St. Patrick's Day Boston Red Sox uniforms. That's what I'm going with. I was tempted to go City Connect. There's probably some other bad Red Sox uniform that I'm forgetting that you might illuminate me to.
Well, we might talk about those later.
I think that the Red Sox
uniforms overall are pretty good.
Here's the thing though. The red and green isn't that bad. I think I might reorder this around. This is going to be my number 10. This is going to be my number 10 for worst. And then I'm going to put Orioles and then Pirates right under that just because I do feel like I'm reaching. I don't think they're that bad. I think that especially since it's St. Patrick's Day. Like I get it.
I don't know. These are pretty
and
bad.
You still have some red, bad. But here's my thing. It's full green. If you had a little bit more white, if you had a little bit, maybe some black, if you, God forbid, you are the Red Sox, put some more red there. I don't care if they went checkerboard red and green. There's just something about them going full New York Jets with this that angers me. And I think the Jets are like one of my least favorite uniforms ever too, by the way. But do
you want to know why these piss me off so much, Javi, and why they're so terrible?
Why is that?
Because they look like a fucking Boston Celtics uniform running around on a baseball diamond. And I said this in the Just Baseball chat recently, but I'm just going to get this out there just so everybody is clear. The Boston Celtics are one of the worst things to ever happen to this universe. Like, I'm not even kidding. They are so far above everything on my list of most hated organizations, not just across sports. Like, this includes like, I'm not going to get political here, but this includes any organization around the world. Like, they're number one, and they're in such a tier that the Louisiana State University, which, if you know anything about me, like, I can't stand Louisiana State University. They're not even in the same stratosphere as the Boston Celtics. So that just goes to show. So watching a Boston Celtics basically uniform run around a baseball diamond, like, I just looked at them and I wanted to throw up. So yeah, these are pretty horrible. And I almost put them on my list when I saw them, but I'm like, they're really not that bad until I looked at them again and I realized, like, oh my God, it's the Boston Celtics. So they're not going to make my list because I already have my list and my list is set in stone and I like my list. But yeah, those are pretty terrible.
Fair enough, man. Go ahead now and give the folks. Since I think I'm ahead of you by a little bit, you can go and do 2 picks.
I'm on number 8 here. And this is another organization that I just simply cannot stand, especially after what they did last night in the MLB draft. The Miami Marlins from 2012 to 2018. What the hell were they thinking? You want to talk about being drunk making uniforms? David Sampson. David Sampson's my guy. I've come to know David Sampson from working at the Levitard show, and I was wrong about David Sampson. He's a good guy. I really like hanging out with him. He's a nice guy. But those uniforms, I'm going to angle here because I got one hanging up right there. My Jose Fernandez uniform. I hang it up in my room as a tribute to Jose Fernandez. Those uniforms are so bad. And especially the red-orange one. I can't believe I ever liked them, Javi. When they first came out, to be fair, I was 13 at the time. And I liked wacky uniforms back then. Now I'm more of I stick to the
traditionalist
kind of guy.
Yeah,
I'm a traditionalist for sure when it comes to uniforms. I would like all these City Connects when I was 13 years old, but then I grew up, and I'm not a kid anymore. So I still am, but there's nothing wrong with being a kid at 25 anyway. But anyway,
shade, I get it. Okay.
Let me get back on track here. Those uniforms and that logo specifically, there's so little life in that logo. Like, it's just a block M with the most lifeless fish you've ever seen. And to go from what was legitimately, and this is not just hometown bias, to go from one of the best uniform sets of the 2000s, right? Like, you would agree, the Marlins teal, when they were black and teal, like, they legitimately had tremendous uniforms. The home pinstripes, the road grays, the black alternate, and even going back to the really early days when they had the teal alternate. Like, they had such great uniforms, and all anybody wanted when they rebranded was for them to just become the Miami Marlins with the same colors. Just instead of an F logo, make it an M, right? That's all anybody wanted. And instead, they did whatever that is. And I mean, just look at it. Like, that black uniform isn't bad. That was probably the best of the set. But if you go back and look at that white uniform, like we talked about the Rays being lifeless earlier, that was a lifeless uniform. There was nothing to it. It looked boring. It looked bland. There was like one orange stripe down the side. I like the Marlins' new rebrand. Like, I'm a pretty big fan of their new uniforms. I think they did a pretty good job. But with the same way with the Rays, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just go back to what worked. Everybody loves the black and teal. Everybody wants the black and teal to come back. It's so much better. And it was so great. And these were just so bad. And for whatever reason, like I said, I bought that red-orange uniform. And recently, like, I've been doing a purge because I've moved. So I've been getting rid of a lot of shit. And I told my mom, I'm like, she showed me the uniform. She's like, "You're sure you want to get rid of this?" I'm like, "Get that fucking thing out of my house. I don't want it anywhere near me. Like, burn it." It was so bad. Just bad uniforms. Orange is a tough color to make work in baseball. Like, some teams make orange work. The Giants, the Orioles have a pretty good orange uniform, but the Marlins and the Astros have really bad. When the Marlins had an orange uniform, like, they were so bad, and the Astros orange uniform is so bad. So, yeah, the Marlins from 2012 to 2018. That's my number 8.
Here's the thing. I respect what they were doing. I respect that they said, rebranded, like the joke from Veep. I respect that they wanted to have the giant thing that Aram Layton, co-founder of Just Baseball, hates, that weird rainbow, looks like the
home run
background
sculpture.
of a little. Yeah, it looks like the background of like a Lil Nas X album. That thing that was in the center field thing. I love that. Yeah. I like that they just did random chaotic stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of don't mind these. I think the black one is better.
The black one is the best one by far.
I think the black one is better. I just straight up just really like the black one. The orange one is a little bit of a miss, but it's not enough to annoy me. And at least it's kind of memorable. I actually kind of like the M. Sorry that not everyone's an ally. No, I'm kidding. But like with the M, I don't know. I thought that there was a lot going on in a good way. I appreciate that they went for it. And I do think that the black one is better. I actually wouldn't mind if that one shows up again. I think it'd be kind of fun if they did that like once in a blue moon, just to mess with their
MLB
fans.
The Show.
Frankly, give their fans anything at this point.
Well, that would be a great idea. Yeah, that we can save that for another episode. I'll come on.
So you know what? I disagree. I just can't see these being the worst uniforms ever. I really appreciate the shot they took, man. I like what they did. What can I say?
That's respect. Hey, clearly you like things that take a chance, whereas I if they take a chance and they hit, then great. But if they take a chance and they fail, I'm gonna rip you. I'm gonna rip you, and you'll see that coming up because there's a lot of things that took a chance here and missed. All right, what's your number 8, buddy?
Whew, my number 8 is going to be, or no, hold on.
This is your number
my number
7.
7.
Sorry,
My
your
number
7.
7.
Yes.
This is one that will probably get me attacked if people discover this. Here's the thing. I just think that these colors in general are just not that cool. I think that they're cringy in literally every area except for what they are traditionally used for. It is for my favorite team too, the San Diego Padres. I am going with the camos. I'm going John Cena in this bitch. I'm going with the camos. There's a couple different variants
on my list. I almost put these on my list.
I think for me, the ones that I want to go with specifically, before they went back to their brown, right? You had those gray camo ones. Those not so great. And then you had the older ones, the military appreciation ones that were like really hardcore. There's a lot of camos with this one. I actually don't mind their camos that are like really beige. The beige ones, I don't mind that much.
Mm-hmm.
The blue ones, and then certainly the ones that are the closest to just, I just feel like everyone does this and it's never cool. And the only thing that I will excuse is that around when those blue ones were out, the Padres uniforms were bad. This is actually recent for those
the Navy ones. Yeah, they weren't great.
The Navy ones.
No, they weren't great.
That was big time.
The Corey Spangenberg days.
Yeah, the Corey Spangenberg days.
Oh,
the first
what a
day
name!
Of Manny.
I know you like that. I know. I
love Corey Spangenberg.
I know you like that.
Top 10-ish prospect, I think, at one point.
Your Torrey Alba.
I think for me, I'm going with the military like camo uniforms. The blue ones you could potentially say too, the blue camos. I give the beige one a pass because I don't know, I just kind of like that look a little bit. For me, it's camo. I just think camo in general, it's so hard to make it look cool. Let's just be freaking real, guys. I'm not talking about the army or the military. That's for go listen to a politics podcast on that. I'm just talking about in general. I just feel like these never look good. And we don't have to pretend that they do. You can be like, oh, cool. Like, I like what they are for, but just in a vacuum, that color scheme does not work for me. It never will for like literally anything, with the exception of like maybe like a glove if it was camo. Other than that, I'm out, man. Can't do it.
I just can't believe you didn't react to me saying your Torrey Alba. All right, my number 7. The Houston Astros Navy uniforms. These are bad. Not the City Connect ones. But just the alternate Navy uniforms. The reason that these are so bad is not only because they're just garbage, but because they look like a batting practice uniform in a game. Like they have these. They have like the old fashioned like Astros stripes, which a lot of people would
like
probably put those
like on the side.
Yeah,
you're talking about?
Probably, yeah. A lot of people would probably put those old Astros uniforms from like the 70s on this list. I wouldn't because I love those. I think those are the shit. But they put that kind of striping down the side and it just looks weak. Like it looks like a spring training uniform or a batting practice uniform, but like they've worn them in the World Series and it's like, what are you doing wearing that bullshit in the World Series? Like that's like if, the Gators showed up to a national championship game in all white or something like that, or like Texas A&M showed up at the College World Series wearing USA uniforms. Like, no, when you get to the College World Series, wear your goddamn regular uniforms. Like, yeah, thank TYFYS, thank you for your service. Love you guys. But, when it comes time to serious business, wear your serious uniforms. Don't bullshit around. Like the Celtics and the Heat last year, it's the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Celtics aren't just wearing their traditional green or white uniforms. They're wearing like these black uniforms, these gold uniforms. I'm like, get that shit out of here. When it comes down to the business end of things, throw away the alternate uniforms. Get them out of here. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see any bullshit Astro Navy uniforms in the World Series. I want to see the Astros. I want to see the Astros, if we're being honest, in the maroon look from the mid 2000s. I love that look. Very nostalgic for that look. I hate their new look. I actually ranked their new uniforms 30th in my rankings this year. And it's mostly because of these Navy ones. I hate these Navy ones. They look cheap. They look like I said, they look like a batting practice uniform that you're wearing in a game. And I just think that's wrong. When it comes game time, wear something nice. And these are not nice. I don't like these at all.
So unless I'm looking at it different, it has the yellow, orange, red thing on the side. I
Correct.
like these. I just feel like there's so many other uniforms, some that just have the star. There are some Padres ass, like just full blue, and then some white uniforms for the Astros, I
Hmm.
think. These are just not I understand Astros. The Astros they've kind of vacillated a lot. I feel like out of every
Have they
team,
ever had a
they've
good
really gone
uniform
back
set?
and forth.
Have they ever
Yeah.
had like,
Yeah.
okay, I like the
And I
70s
like their
one,
City
but
Connect.
objectively, the 70s ones are like bad. Like everybody hates the 70s ones, right? And they were ridiculous.
Maybe.
But it was the 70s,
Okay.
so whatever, they got a pass, right? The
Yeah.
Colt 45s, eh. The 90s ones that were like the blue and gold
Uh-huh.
Astros, like, they're okay. But like the mid 2000s ones, like I'm nostalgic for those, but I think if you go around and took a poll, like were these good uniforms, I think it would come back pretty strong. No, but I would go back to those if I were them because I don't like this new look. I thought I liked it when it first came back, but it's really maybe it's just because it's the Astros and they piss
Mhm.
so many people off and they piss me off a lot because of everything that's gone on in that organization. But yeah, I don't know, just not a fan. I don't like the new look at all for the Astros.
That is fair enough, but I disagree. I disagree. I just do. And you know
That's what
what?
we're here for, man.
That's
We're
what
here
we're
to
here
disagree.
for. Exactly.
Disagreement's
That's what we're
better.
here for. And you
Disagreement's
know
better.
what? What's always fun is I can't give you as much crap for these, but I know that I can give you crap for the City Connect because everyone at Just Baseball was just appalled at the
Yeah.
atrocity that
Yeah,
was
these
your
guys don't
rankings
know
for
what they're
that.
looking at, dude. These guys don't know what they're talking about.
With my next
All right,
one,
number 6 for you, right, Hobby?
yes, number 6 for me. It's one that you just sent me. Why not? Let's get it over with. I just think that they're bad, and they're bad for one specific reason.
The
It
White
is the
Sox?
the Miami
Oh.
Marlins SpongeBob.
Oh my
The
god. These
SpongeBob
are great.
jerseys
What are you
are
talking
coming in for
about?
me at
What are
number
you talking
6,
about? These
and
are
here's why.
amazing.
Here's why. First of all, I thought that this was a minor league like uniform that got debuted. I didn't realize maybe I'm like having deja vu, but I swear
Well,
these
this is a
SpongeBob uniforms.
giveaway. This is a
Okay.
giveaway. It's not they're not wearing
Okay.
these. This is a fan giveaway.
Oh.
Yes, it's a fan
But is it
giveaway.
okay? I might be crazy because I remember I'm gonna look up minor league baseball team
Yes, a
SpongeBob.
minor league baseball team did wear SpongeBob uniforms. It
Okay,
might have been
that's what I
this
meant.
year or last year, but the Marlins they're giving these away. This is like a
No,
fan
okay, I'm
giveaway
looking at them
for
right
the
now. No, no, no.
25th
The
anniversary of SpongeBob.
was it
Happy
the El Paso
25.
Chihuahuas? No, was it the Padres minor league system?
I
It could have
think
been,
so. I
but
think it was the
Robinson
Chihuahuas,
Cano
dude.
was in
Yeah.
these. Robinson Cano was
Yes.
in these.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a
These to
Padres
me,
because yes.
these to me are worse because now that you bring up the Marlins thing, that it's just a fun little giveaway. I don't want to hate too much. You're just having fun, and frankly, kids are gonna love it, right? Like
Dude,
kids are
I
gonna
want
absolutely
one.
love that.
Are you kidding me?
Like
I want
that's
one. Those
different.
are
But as like a
awesome.
core uniform, I think
Yeah,
it's
of
the minor
course.
league team. I don't have it in front of me right now that Robinson Cano played with. Those are gonna come in for me because here's the thing, and here's one of the reasons why I didn't like the other ones. I hate that they have the pants. The pants just
Mm,
look weird. If you just did the spongy thing and remove the pants part, I think these are a little bit higher up on my list, if
mhm.
not off it entirely. Frankly,
They're
I
like
think
the
that
brown
6,
pants. I'm looking at it
yeah,
right
I
now.
think 6 is a little bit high. Um, you know what I mean? I think this is a little
Yeah.
bit high. I might rework my rankings on the fly as we go a little bit later. But to me, it's just that the stupid pants part drives me insane because otherwise, I think I'd be all for them. Do I sound, is this, Ethan, is this the most old man take you've ever
Yes.
heard me had on uniforms?
From
Yeah, right?
you
I'm
specifically, I
surprised
thought
too.
you would
I'm
love the
surprised too.
SpongeBob uniforms because first of all, who doesn't love SpongeBob? Happy 25th birthday, SpongeBob. Been watching a lot of Nick at Night recently because Friends is on Nick
Uh-huh.
at Night now, and there's SpongeBob commercials all the time. That shit's still going strong. SpongeBob, the shit, man. Every kid should watch SpongeBob. It's the best show. The funniest thing about the SpongeBob uniforms is
Mhm,
the fact that Robinson Cano was on rehab assignment or like had just signed and was getting revved up or something. And his
mhm,
first minor league game back from it might have been suspension or injury or just hadn't played, hadn't been on the team in a while, was
mhm.
in these SpongeBob uniforms. Seeing Robinson Cano in those SpongeBob uniforms, I just can't imagine like that's a record scratch freeze frame moment, right? Where it's like
Yeah,
how you're probably wondering how I ended up here. Like
yeah.
Robinson Cano is probably looking at himself in the mirror wearing that SpongeBob uniform. Like I was almost a Hall of Famer. I should be a Hall of Famer. If I didn't throw everything away by testing positive for steroids twice, I would be a Hall of Famer. But I'm not
Yeah.
going to be a Hall of Famer. And now here I am wearing a SpongeBob jersey, trying to make it back to the big leagues. Wow, I just took this down a dark road, dude. All right, number 6, the Rays fallback uniforms. Have you ever seen these, Javi?
No. No.
Okay.
I'm
They
looking it up
tried
right
to
now.
do, like, because the Rays don't actually have throwback uniforms, they tried to do these, like, 1970s, like, pullover look. It
Okay.
looks like it was in 2015, 2016. So actually, the Navy ones that I'm looking at here are not terrible because I love a Navy and light blue uniform. But they went like light blue with yellow sleeves and this big Tampa Bay Rays lettering, and it's bad. It's bad. It's
Is it
bad.
the
I don't know
Devil
what
Rays
they were
thing?
doing here. No, look up Rays fallback. Fauxback. There's a picture here. I
Fallback.
wish I could. Yeah, it's just
Oh,
like
oh, oh,
fallback. Fallback is, I guess, what it fallback.
oh.
Like,
Wow.
yeah,
With the weird, what is that? A flower in the
it's.
middle of
I
the
think
A?
it's an orange. I think it's like a
It's an
citrus thing,
orange?
or maybe it is a flower. No,
I
I
don't
think it's
know.
an orange. I think I have no idea. See, makes it worse. Yeah, these look like those player weekend uniforms, which we'll also get to in a minute. But the light blue with the yellow sleeves, oh, terrible. The
Uh-huh.
other one they did, the other version they did like I said, a navy with a light blue version. Those weren't that bad. But this blue, this was also within my research that I was doing. I found these and I remembered them. And I was like, oh boy, that was a choice. So number 6, the Rays fallback uniforms.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
You're gonna
I
say you
like
like
these.
these.
I
Yeah, I
like
knew you
these.
were gonna say that.
However, I think the number looks bad. I think it's the
Yeah,
number, the jersey number for me. I
yeah.
think if you move that up, maybe if you just forget it on the front entirely, I think
Mhm.
it's better. I really, really do, man. Like now a number like a 3, like a smaller number, maybe single digit
Yeah.
number, not as bad. I don't mind the hat. I like the hat now, but the problem with hats is that like there's a lot of bad teams or bad
Yeah.
uniforms, but the hat kind of looks cool, so I can't
Yeah.
fully excuse it.
Right.
But
Right.
for me, it's the numbers on the front. I really do think that without the numbers on the front, I'd like these a lot more. It feels very like this is the type of font that an 80s disco movie would
Right. I
have.
think that's
It's
what they
like
were
the
going
nice
for. They
guys.
were going for, what would our
Mhm.
uniforms have been if we were around in the 70s?
Go look
And
up the nice guys font. There you go.
there were a lot of bad uniforms in the 70s, Hobby, so they just
Mm.
should have never touched it. Again, every Rays uniform since they ditched the purple and green. Bad. Bad.
I like them, man. I'm all
The
for them.
city
I think that
connector,
these are
okay.
fun.
The city
Yeah,
connector, okay.
I think
And
that
I knew you would like them because they were ambitious, and you got to respect the ambition.
yeah, I like the ambition. I like the hat. I think it's something that actually at least it has a soul. Right?
Yeah.
So if I were you, I'd swap this with your earlier race pick because at least I feel like this one has a soul. The
Yeah.
others just don't. I'm
Ugh,
always like dead whenever I see
lifeless,
those things, and I'm like, oh my god,
lifeless.
just like the team
They just
itself
make you
with
feel
Matt.
bad. They
You
just,
know,
you don't want to look at them. You don't want to.
you
A
don't.
Rays broadcast from the Trop is so ugly. It's just
For me,
bad
it's the
lighting,
jersey number.
bad uniforms, ugly like background. Ugh. Ugh.
A lot of baseball's
Rays.
obsessed with this color scheme. The Brewers have it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
But the
it's
Brewers make
just
it work, dude. The Brewers make it work. I'll be honest.
they
The
do it
Brewers make it
okay.
work.
They do okay over there. I like the little glove thing of theirs has grown on me. The
Oh,
Brewers
that's a
glove.
great uniform,
It's
and it's
grown on me. It's grown on
it's
me
an
a little bit.
MV.
Yeah, it's growing on me just a little bit. It's kind of cute. It's kind of cute.
My guy
Moving
gets
on.
it. My guy
Speaking
gets
of
it.
cute, my number 5
This is
that we're
number
on
5
now.
for you. Yeah.
Number 5 is an OG that don't exist no more. And the only reason they're 5 and not lower is because I do like the hat. That is the Montreal Expos.
Oh,
Look,
you are so wrong here, dude.
I think the
So
Montreal
wrong.
Expos, it's just plain, and then it's got this weird
Love it.
logo with colors, the red,
Love it.
white, and
Nobody
blue.
knows what the
Of
fuck is
course.
AO. What the fuck is AO? It doesn't even say Expo. It says AO. Why are they the Expos when their logo says AO? And then not only that, like, but that's what makes it great. It's a mystery. The whole team is a mystery. Their fucking mascot, Youpie. Who knows what that thing is, dude? The whole team is a fucking mystery, and then they just disappeared. They were terrible forever. They should have won the World Series. The one year they should have won the World Series was 94, and it got cut short because of the player strike. They've had some of the best players in baseball history. They had Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Larry Walker, Andre Dawson. They had some incredible players, and then poof, they were gone. David Sampson and mainly Jeffrey Loria, but
I don't mind their blue ones as much. I want to exclude
the baby
blue
blues
ones
are
because
beautiful.
of this. Navy blues aren't too
Beautiful.
bad, but for me,
Oh, you're talking the dark blue, the royal blue.
No, I'm talking the white. I'm talking that 1969. It looks like something that you pulled out of a laundromat, and then you threw a logo on it, and then you were like, "Shit, I got to get to practice." That's the Montreal Expos, the white one,
and they have the two. They have the two stripes down the shoulder like this, right?
I think so. I don't even know. I'm looking at the uniforms right now.
Every time I make a uniform on Diamond Dynasty, I always make the uniforms with the stripes down the shoulders because I just love that Expos look. So
the blues don't do too bad. So I want to just preface specifically those white ones. I just think the white ones, not the later ones that have the stripes. I'm seeing them right now,
like the red and blue. Okay,
the red and
you're
blue
talking
thing?
like Andre Dawson.
Yeah, I'm talking like early on, Rawlings 1969. If you go to MLBcollectors.com and you click on Montreal Expos, the first one is what I'm talking about, that white one. The blue stuff, not as bad, but specifically the white, whether that's home or road, I always get the splits mixed up. That specifically. The blue ones, I don't love them, but not nearly as bad. I just think that it fits the logo a lot more. Like you should go that direction. But for me, it's
I like
those
the
white
blues.
Montreal Expo uniforms.
And the baby blues are perfect. Oh, what a gorgeous
They're not too bad.
They're
not too bad. Blues. As someone who's a fan of a team that often deploys baby blue uniforms, I approve of that at least a little bit. Ethan, give us your next pick.
Yeah, that's my first big disagreement for you. Everything else has been pretty good, but for those, I disagree. I love those. All right. Anyway, number 5, everything Players Weekend involved.
Fair. I was thinking about this.
Everything. Just I like what they did. I like the ambition. I like that they let players wear nicknames on the back and stuff. I thought that was really cool. Some of them weren't awful. There were some okay ones.
This is a good take, man.
But there were some bad ones, dude. And then they did. So there was the year where they did the pullover, and it was one color. And it kind of wasn't necessarily your main color. And then you had the sleeve, and then you had a different hat. Like I said, you can dig through those and find me one that I'd be like, oh, those are okay. Those are pretty good.
Yeah.
The Cubs ones were okay. But then there's the Marlins one of that was awful. The Brewers was awful. And then they did the all black and all white ones.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Totally. So when I first thought about Players Weekend, I was totally just thinking about those colored ones. But then I looked up Players Weekend to maybe try and find a specific one that was really bad. And I saw the white and all white and the all black ones. And I'm like, oh God, these were
that's bad. That's
so
bad.
terrible.
And frankly,
you're
going to be shocked by this. I appreciate the freedom. Frankly, I think that there's other things that Major League Baseball as a culture needs to allow its players to be more confident in doing, like their personality. I think that the name stuff is a little cringe. I think it's hard for it to be cool. Some of them are cool. Famously, Kyle Seager putting Corey's brother on his. That was funny. It did make me laugh.
That was great.
But all in all, I'm like, I don't need to see Big Fella. You know what I mean? It feels a little cringe. We are the ones who do the nicknames.
Right.
We're the fans. So, but most importantly, that black and white garbage, dude. Nah, I'm 100%.
I don't know what the hell is going on there.
How can you do Players Weekend, which is about, just think about it esoterically for a second. Think about the tone of this. The thing about Players Weekend is giving players a chance to show their personality. Right. And what do? Personality isn't a world of black and white. Right?
Monochrome,
that is so antithetical to the main premise of what you're doing. If anything, it should be an explosion of color.
You know what,
the whole thing
Sorry. They were so bad that I had blocked them out of my memory completely. I just totally forgot that they even existed until I looked at them. and I was until I Googled these and I saw them and I was like, oh my god. Speaking of Vladdy Guerrero, I just happen to have a bunch of cards next to me here, and I just found a Vladdy Guerrero on the Orioles card. Look at that.
Wow, look
Remember
at that,
Vladdy
man.
on the Orioles? Bet you
Yeah.
forgot about that one.
You know what,
Here's
Ethan? I
big time.
forgot about these. Not
Here's
gonna
big time
lie.
Timmy Jim, dude. Big time Timmy Jim.
I'm,
Are you
I
putting
have a,
these
I
on
have
your
an
list?
amendment. I have an amendment to make. I feel too bad about it. I still hate the pants. I'm taking out SpongeBob and I'm putting the Players
Okay.
Weekend in that
All
spot
right. So
instead,
Players Weekend is
which
at
was
number 5.
that was number 5. So my number 5 was
Yes.
Montreal. So number 6 for me is
Okay.
going to be the Players Weekend thing. Might even move those to number 5 though. I forgot about how bad it's just.
Me
It
too.
literally
I
was
blocked
like
them
if
out of my
anyone's ever
memory.
playing, if anyone's ever played, this is a deep cut, a video game called De Blob, where basically you play as this nice, happy blob guy who has to paint the town with color again because this evil corporation came in. Yes, this is very political of a game. This
Toontown.
corporation came in and sucked out the color. That's what those player weekends use. Dude, I am livid right now. I totally forgot about these things. I might have them higher than the Expos, but I'm going to go through the rest of my list. And this rest of the list I do have finalized, I will say.
Okay.
My number
All right.
4.
Yep.
And this one might annoy you. It might. But there's a specific version of it that I want everyone to look up on that aforementioned website. It is the Arizona Diamondbacks, that blue, I don't know what that color is called, like aqua green, aqua blue, and purple uniforms, specifically the white ones. And I'm talking specifically the ones that say diamond, and then under it backs, and the backs has is like a highlighted purple square. Those ones specifically, I hate them.
All right,
it's been
fun, Javi. It's been fun. It's been fun. I had a great time, but
I hate them. This is my most controversial take. 1998. If you go to Russell Athletic, it's those. They're not the worst things in the world. I'm not going to say that, but I like the black ones better.
I'm trying to stay calm here, buddy.
I like the all purple ones a whole lot better. I like the grayish ones a little bit better. And then, of course, the red and black, blah, 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 blah. I hate diamond and then backs. It doesn't work for me. When in the world were Diamondbacks ever associated with these two colors?
These are delicious.
The animals. I don't care if this is a bad take. I don't care if the people on Instagram are going to hate me. I can't stand these things. I'm out.
These uniforms are perfect. The gray pinstripes. Oh my
those
god,
white
I love
ones
these uniforms.
go on MLB Collectors. It is the very first one, number 34, diamond and then backs. Those are my issues because there are some. The one that says Arizona only, don't mind those. It's specifically diamond and then the highlighted backs. Can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm gonna just move on and pretend that didn't happen. 1, because I'm so angry, and 2, because it's 3:31 and NCAA football drops at 4:00, and that is just
fair enough.
It's time, dude. It's time. Have you thought about the first play you're gonna run yet? I know you're not a big NCAA guy, but I've been thinking about.
I'm barely a big sports game guy,
dude. I've been thinking about the first play I'm gonna run on NCAA for like 2 weeks now. I think I'm gonna run a double reverse flea flicker.
Nice. And here's the thing with me. I also am a hater of Madden. So this is a problem.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Fair enough. I don't like Madden either,
see.
but I did get it this year because there's a package. Not that anybody gives a shit about what video games I bought, but since we're on the subject, there's a package where you can get both. So I was like, fuck it. I'll try and give Madden another
Play some real video games. Play real video games. Go play Hades.
Be the show, baby.
Go play Pokemon. Right. Go play Star Wars Outlaws. Play some real video games, man. Unbelievable.
All right, number 4. The entire Turn Ahead the Clock collection. Do you remember these, Javi?
Nope.
From the 90s. This is like that Seattle Mariners maroon uniform. They tried to do like a futuristic thing. And oh God, right? Which one are you looking at? Are you looking at the Mariners?
There's a lot. So
all
right, first of all, here's one thing I'll say. They are going for it with all
they
of these
went
so
for
far.
it, dude. They went for it.
Whoa.
But, the Giants had
San
like
Francisco,
a black
I'm looking at?
Yeah, they had a black and white one that was like a big giant SF like here. The Mariners, that's when Griffey wore his hat backwards in the field and everybody went crazy. That was awesome with those uniforms. I think they
I
wore
like the
some of
Mariners
them
one,
wore those
even though it's
with
not their
those.
colors. I kind of
Those
like it.
one aren't awful, but like they went so far away from their colors that they were just like, fuck off with that. Like so bad. The Mercury Mets were terrible. The Pirates, I think they did either a yellow or a red that just totally flopped with the big giant pirate logo. Bad, bad, bad. All of these are just bad. I ambitious. I understand. These were like the original City Connect uniforms, except just awful. So yeah. I
You're right. Now I'm
they're
gonna say one
awful.
thing.
They're awful,
I'm gonna
right?
say one thing. The Royals helmet kind of speaking to me.
Oh
I don't know what
God,
I don't
dude!
know what
There's
it
a
is.
picture.
You know what it is? It's so dumb that I mean, this is classic hobby, right? These
You
things
love
are
them because they're
so
so dumb.
bonkers.
Yeah,
These
that's
things
very
are
you.
so bonkers. Like the Pirates literally have like a
Oh,
whole ass
I'm just looking at
pirate
the Pirates
guy
right now,
with
dude.
the
These are
bandana.
ridiculous.
The Rockies
These are
one.
ridiculous.
The Rockies one is very. I wouldn't be surprised if the City Connect that they took inspiration from this. And I know that they ended up going with
I
the
don't
more
think I've
green
ever
look
seen the
for the
Rockies. Okay,
mountain.
the Rockies ones are a hit. The Rockies ones are good. Those are good. But the
I
rest
can't
of
do it.
them, the
So they're
rest of
very
them, the
hit and miss.
Royals ones, oh, the Royals ones are so bad. The Giants ones are
It's
insulting because the Giants have
crazy.
such great uniforms. The
This is
Mercury
insane.
Mets and the
This is
Pirates.
insane.
There's also a
These,
legendary
these are
picture of
bunkers. Mercury
there's a
Mets is tough.
there's a
Mercury
legendary
Mets is
picture. Yeah. There's a
oh
legendary picture of
no.
Larry Walker hitting a walk-off homer in these uniforms. If you can flash that in like the YouTube or playback or whatever in post, put that picture in there. There's an awesome picture of Larry Walker. Those weren't bad, but the rest of them were so terrible. So especially the Pirates. That Pirates one is just disgusting. I mean, and the Royals with this gold and blue like cut off sleeves, like, ugh, not good. Not good. Not a fan of these at all.
This is genuinely like I am so blown away by these. This also reveals like another thing about me is that I only started getting deeper into baseball like the later in my life. Like when I was a kid, I was basically just watch my parents watch the Yankees. But so here's the thing. I think if you picked a specific one, I'd be fully on board with you. I think Mercury Mets might have to be on my list now. That's how bad I think those are. It's like I have no idea what happened here. This is graphic design is my passion vibes.
Yeah,
Like
literally, right?
this is the Mercury Mets specifically. I don't like the Royals one, but also I get it. Like I get
What
why
is
you
this
got there.
sign?
You know what I
What are
mean?
these
The
signs
Pirates
on?
one is bonkers. The freaking San Francisco.
Why do they have like the sign, like the Prince artist formerly known as Prince logo on them? Like, look at this hat.
Dude, the
The
A's
Mercury
one.
Mets.
So, but here's my thing. I like some of them. I think Pirates is bonkers, but whatever. Cardinals classically are like the most boring. Just like they couldn't even do anything. I think Mercury Mets is one of the worst uniforms I've ever seen. It's so bad that I may need to edit my list, but we're
Oh
going to
my
move
God.
on. So the only thing I disagree with you is I just think some of these are pretty good. I like Rockies. I like the A's. I don't love the Royals, but I get why they got there. And I like the Mariners ones, even if they're totally ridiculous and don't fit what their uniform thing is. Very Astros, the old Astros when they were in the American League with Lance Berkman, the red ones. That's the vibe that it has with them. So I'm gonna disagree only because I think some of them are actually really cool.
Ooh, the A's.
And so bonkers. These things are insane. You know what? Bring them back. I want to do this again.
those
I
are
want to just
terrible.
go for it.
Oh my
One
God.
day of the year, we should have have kids make them. I don't care. Like this is so ridiculous. I'm having a blast. But Mercury Mets
No, these things were
might
made
have
for
to be
you
on my
for
list.
sure. These
Might
things
have
were
to be on
definitely made
the
for you.
Mercury Mets thing is genuinely. I cannot believe this is real. What is that? Like I thought at first that it was
I
the
have
gender
no
logo.
idea.
I thought it was the
That's
gender
what I'm
logo.
saying. It looks like the female gender logo, right? Like why
Which
is that on a
obviously-
baseball uniform?
We got love for y'all, but why is that on a baseball uniform? And it wasn't even for them, right? It's for Mercury. Why? What are we doing?
I don't know.
You know what?
So bad.
Ethan, I might be tempted. I might have to remove one. But let's move on to my number 3. Look, here's the thing. Like, I'm not going to get political, obviously, but the Houston Colt 45s, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
What the hell are we doing? And here's the thing.
What the hell are we doing?
They are old. They're old. Like I can see like back then being like, hey, right.
Right.
Like I could see why people were like might have been really into these. but the revolver looks astonishingly cheap. The Colts part looks astonishingly cheap. It's just bad, and it will never age well when you name it after a gun. Just not great. Washington Bullets learned this too, but Colt 45s, at least the Bullets had like kind of cool uniforms. This is bad. It's plain. It's boring.
Bad.
And the revolver is so cheap looking. I'm totally out on these things. It comes in for me at number 3.
All right, number 3
even
for me.
have to be higher, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to go there. Number 3, the Diamondbacks. So I'm going to go with a team that you just went with. I already said it, but the Diamondbacks from 2016 to 2023, they had the worst uniforms in the sport for so long. And especially, remember when they did that thing where they had the snake skin on the shoulders and the back of the pants and the top of the hat? Do you remember that?
I think so. Which year was this again?
Or did you trauma block it out of your memory? It started in 2016, and I think they took off the snake skin before then. But this is when they were also rolling with that like charcoal road uniform, which was so bad. It looked like they had sweat. It looked like the new road uniforms now, where like they look like they sweated through them. You know what I mean? These were just atrocious. Like the entire set was atrocious, and they had okay colors. They had bad colors, and they made them even worse. Especially like they had white uniforms with red snakeskin on the like a red snakeskin design on the back. Look it up. Look up the 2016 Diamondbacks uniforms. These were some of the worst uniforms I've ever seen in my life. Especially once you saw them in action, like they looked so bad on the field, especially like I said, the charcoal ones, like they literally looked like they disappeared. Just awful, awful, awful uniforms. And the Diamondbacks actually did a great job redesigning their uniforms because they don't have great colors to work with, especially when they threw in this random electric blue into a color set that it doesn't really make sense in. But they tried to change things up, didn't work. They changed things up, then they rebranded finally this, going into this season, and their uniforms this year are actually really nice. I really like them in execution. But yeah, the Diamondbacks from 2016 until now were my least favorite uniforms. I ranked them last, and they were always going to be last until they rebranded. And then finally they rebranded this year. And actually I ranked them like 15th, and they might even go up even more this year because they're that good in action.
I don't hate these. I get it though. I get it, I guess, but I don't know. Once again, my thing is just like, what else are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what else can they do keeps getting in my head. Yeah.
Well, I still can't believe you said anything about the purple and teal.
I just hate it. I really can't stand it.
That, dude.
I'm almost feeling bullied and almost tempted to be peer pressured out of it and replace it with the Mercury Bets. But no, I'm gonna replace something else on the list. My number 2, though. Here's the thing. I don't want to bully these people. You know what I mean? It's minor league. It's college. It's just, I don't want to bully those levels of baseball. But I genuinely do not think, with the exception of Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal with my guy Clank wearing this, the fake like tuxedo shirt has literally never been cool. It's not funny.
Yes,
it's not funny. Hey, John Fetterman, not funny. It's just not good. It is a fat stinking L. It's just not funny. The only time this is funny, the only time it's funny is if your kid who's in like middle school does it because they're kids.
Right.
And you know what? Right. They probably think that's hilarious. So for me, it's the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, their tuxedo uniforms. Holy dear God. The only thing that slightly redeems them is the little red like flower thing. Because at least I don't know. Because at least it gives it somewhat of a soul. Right? Just a tiny, but it's almost like it's kind of like if you took a fat shit and then you put like an ice cream like cherry on it. Like that's kind of what happens here. So it's like, yes, obviously I will take the piece of shit with a cherry on top, but it's still a piece of shit. So that's where I stand. I think that these are horrendous. The Iron Pigs font is actually kind of good. I like the Iron Pigs font. I think that that's actually kind of cool looking. You know what I mean? The font of just the name. But the actual uniform, guys, I'm not kidding. These have never been cool. And they actually have some better ones. They have one that's a cat for God's sake, these Lehigh Valley people. And that looks better than this. Is it good? No. But it looks better because at least it's like, all right, there's like a soul here. This tuxedo thing is big time. Hey, we need a new uniform to jazz people up, and we want to rack the engagement numbers on the algorithm. What can you do? And someone's like, hey, man, I'm heading to Cabo this weekend. Let's do a tuxedo thing. That's what happened there. I hate these. These are really, really bad. And guys, it's never been funny. Never been funny.
No,
the only time it's funny is if you're in like the sixth,
middle schooler,
fourth grade, middle schooler, because then it's cute. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Cute. It's funny.
They're not going to wear a tuxedo. No. They're just going to wear a t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. On to my number 2. That was your number 2. Or that was your number 3.
That was my number 2.
Okay, my number 2.
Gotta keep track. Yeah.
The Boston Red Sox City Connect uniforms.
Okay. Yeah. I was wondering when these would come up.
These are so fucking terrible, Javi. Like, just the ugliest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. And again, Boston. Well, actually, they're not the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life because there's a number 1 ahead of them that's even uglier. But these are so bad. Like, I don't need to rant on them again like I did on the City Connect episode. You know, I already did that. The color is just bad. I know it's the Boston flag and they went for a Boston identity thing. But you know what, Boston? You got bad colors. Hate to break it to you. You got bad colors. And you got a lot of other bad things as well. You know, bad sports teams, bad fans. You know, I could rant about Boston for a long time, but I'm not going to, you know, go stoop to their level. You know what? The Bruins, losers. They lost. They lost to the Panthers just like everybody else did. The Panthers are champions. I am a champion. And so I don't stoop to loser level anymore. I just talk about winners. And I'm not going to go too deep into you know, getting mad at losers anymore, like the city of Boston. So I guess they did win a title this year. So, you know, we'll just let that slide though. Nobody really cares about it anyway, right? Yeah, so anyway, these uniforms, right? these uniforms are just terrible. No, they actually beat the Heat in the first round of the playoffs.
No, I know, but they didn't have to face them.
We don't have to talk about it. You know, Jimmy
it doesn't
Butler
count.
was hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Exactly.
Gary Rozier was hurt. I'm pretty sure too. It doesn't count.
Yep, exactly. You know what? I like you. This is why I like coming on our show. Boston Red Sox City Connects, second worst baseball uniform of all time. They are atrocious.
I'm with it. Second of all time, a little bit high. I think this is just to rehash what we kind of said. I mean, we're an hour in. Kind of what I said when we did our City Connect podcast, where I think they're bad for Boston, but like in a vacuum, I just don't think they're that bad. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think the blue and yellow combo is awful. But I understand what you're like. Everything you've said, like, I totally get where you're coming from. But like, if I didn't know anything, I'd be like, whatever. I could wear this real quick. You know what I mean? But the Boston font, it almost looks like a clock halfway through or whatever, a gear, something like that. Not that great.
It's bad. All right. What's your number 1? I'm very curious to find this out.
All right. We doing my number 1? All right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've written about this for Just Baseball. I've talked about this on my Padres podcast, and it's not the Padres. I have been talking about this for years, Ethan, on a fundamental level. On an aesthetic level, they are awful, obviously. But on a spiritual, tonal, political, and dare I say, just on the level of respect for human life and everyone's differences. Where are we going here? My number 1 most despised baseball uniform in history and all of uniform history is the New York goddamn Yankees away uniform. I have hated these things for my entire life. These things.
Talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
No, let me go. Let me go. These things perfectly epitomize everything that's wrong with the Yankees. It sucks all the life out of personalities. The Yankees think they're so much better than everybody else that they don't have to give effort when they go to play you at their ballpark. That's what this says in their uniforms. I've literally played on little league teams with better uniforms than this that can create the thing. All someone did is go gray New York. It is the most boring, lifeless thing. No.
Wait, no. I have a question. I have a genuine question.
What?
Are you talking about the ones like this year or the ones before this year where they had the white cuff, like the white and blue cuff, or you're just talking about the ones they're wearing this year since they changed them, where it's just New York across the chest that says like because their uniforms
It
before
changed.
this year had a white outline around New York, and they had a blue and white cuff, and they were a lot better. They were really good. But then Nike and Fanatics came in this year and changed them, and now it's back to just the New York across the chest, and
No.
they look like
No.
they get sweated through
It
every
doesn't
time.
matter. It doesn't matter. Both of them belong in the same boat for me.
That is
These
so
things-
wrong. Those
No.
uniforms
And here's the
those
thing.
uniforms were beautiful. Those uniforms.
Oh, let me guess.
the
But
new-
they're
the white
classics,
and
right?
blue
They're
outline and
classics, right?
Yes, they're beautiful. They're
Oh,
classic
And
uniforms.
here's the bullshit with that thing. As a rule of life, your defense for something cannot only be, oh, well, it's tradition. Thanksgiving, when
perfect.
we have turkey.
Perfect.
You can't tell me that you want to have turkey
I agree.
just because
That's a
it's
good
tradition.
take. That's
You
a good
can't
take.
just tell me
But
only
you
tradition.
can say
If you want to say, I'm not done yet. I'm not. No, shush. You over there. This is my show. This is baseball versus hobby right now.
Listen,
okay? Get out of my face. Here's the thing. Turkey. Guess what? If you like it and your thing is, you know what? I like Michigan. That's fine. You can't come to me and say, I like turkey just because it's tradition. That cannot be the only defense for things. Because we've had a lot of things throughout the history of not just this country, but the world that were traditions that were quite shitty. Okay? And that's what this is. Every uniform. I will take the Pittsburgh Steelers Bumblebee uniforms. I will take the giant New York Presbyterian logo that they had on the basketball uniforms over this. Kitty Pryde from Marvel Comics. Go Google her
You
roller
lost me
skate
here.
outfit. A 13-year-old girl
lost me.
made a uniform with more heart and more soul than these
lost
things
me.
that suck the life. Oh, the one team that you can't have facial hair with, right? The
Okay,
Yankees
hold on.
are elitism and they hate personality. They
Let me
hate
just ask a
color.
question.
All those
Let me just
things.
ask a question.
It is literally trash. No, I'm not done yet. How are you daring?
Let me
you
just
keep
ask a
interrupting
question.
me? Fine.
How can you put the Yankees on this list but not put the Dodgers on this list as well? The Dodgers gray uniform is just a gray uniform that says Los Angeles. Like, how can you not put the Red Sox? The Red Sox is just a gray uniform that says Boston. Like, where is this just a Yankee thing? Like, is that what this is? This is just
It's both.
The Yankees suck the life out of everything.
It's pretentious.
It's not
it is
pretentious. It's just
condescending.
they made
It's
these uniforms
condescending
in
is the better word. It is so
1890,
condescending.
and
I don't
they've never
care.
changed them. And
I
that's
don't
what's great
care.
about it. They've
I
never,
don't care
they've
if they haven't
always
changed
been the
them.
same.
I don't care.
The
There's
Pittsburgh-
no
okay,
life with
so
these
hold
things.
on.
And by the way, the Dodgers logo is better because it's got the underline and they have the nice little jersey number under it that actually fits a lot better. The Yankees put no effort. There's
So
no
how do you
effort
feel
on
about
these
the Las
things.
Vegas Raiders uniforms? The Raiders uniforms. It's just a black shirt with white pants and a black stripe down the side.
Buddy, I'm a Chargers fan. What do you think I'm going to say? Come on now. But like,
Okay,
I'm
how
talking
do you
about
feel
baseball.
About the Green Bay Packers uniforms. The Green Bay Packers uniforms.
Why are
have
you
been the same
bringing in
forever.
football? What's going
The
on here?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Why are you bringing in
The
football?
Dodgers, because you're talking about, oh, it's bad because it's been the same thing forever and change. And there are all of the best uniforms in the history of sports.
And these
are
ones
the
are
uniforms
worse
that
than
have
those.
been the same forever. The Steelers.
And these
the
ones are
Packers,
worse than all
Penn
of those.
State, the Raiders,
Everyone is
the
bogged down
Dodgers,
by
the Yankees,
they
the
literally
Cubs,
it's
the Red
gray
Sox, the
garbage. That's
Dodgers,
all that's on
all
these
the
things.
Giants, all the great uniforms in history are
My
all the
literal
uniforms
shirt
that
right
have
now.
never changed.
My literal shirt right now.
You lost me.
That has
You
more
lost me.
soul with a
You lost me.
flat relax.
You lost me. I don't even want to give my number one anymore because this is such an unbelievably bad take that tradition is bad. That
Tradition is bad.
I mean, I'm
going
going to give my number one because you know what? My number one is just going to piss you off even
the
more. And that'll
Bonesaw
make for great
outfit
content.
from the first Spider-Man is better than this. The
I
kid
just-
from Little Giants, when he gets his hand stuck on his jersey, even with
Oh,
the glue on it, that's
a great
still
scene.
better than the Yankees
That's a
away
great scene.
uniforms. A teenage girl, 13 years old, with roller skates and leg warmers made a better uniform than this shit. It literally is so. It's such a perfect summation of the New York Yankees. We care about our pinstripes at home, great uniforms, all-timer, obviously. But we don't have to put in literally any effort because all of you are beneath us.
That is what the Yankees stand for. No, you're
ahead.
just overthinking it. You're overthinking it.
I'm not overthinking it.
You
I'm not
are.
overthinking it.
You are.
I have beef.
You're
I have
thinking
beef.
way too
I have
deep
beef.
about this, dude.
Nope,
You want
I'm
to
correct.
know why these uniforms are the way they are? Because it was 1874, and all they did on uniforms back in that day was make a gray shirt with New York slapped across the chest because
and it's
you
bad.
had to know where they were coming
They
from.
did a
when
lot
they
of
went
things
on the
back
road
in the day.
because
Do you
there
want to
was
bring
no
everything back from
communication.
back in the day, Ethan? Do you want to do that too?
Hobby.
Because we can do it. We can do it.
Getting off the rails. Let me bring
we're
this
getting
back.
off the wagon. All
Let
right.
me bring
Give
this
us your
back.
number
Let me get back.
Give
on
us your
track.
number one.
And I'm gonna just make you even more mad. And this is gonna be. I have 7 minutes. The number one is the San Diego Padres City Connect uniforms. I told you when we did the episode that they were the worst uniform in the history of sports. I said it right then and there. They're the worst uniforms ever made. They're the most disgusting things ever made. They're an abomination to baseball. They should never be allowed to be worn on a baseball field. The fact that these things were allowed to be made with two different sleeves, fucking cotton candy colors, two different colored socks, two different this, two different that, absolutely outrageous. They should have never been allowed to be made. These are by far and away not only the worst uniforms in the history of baseball. Wow, I'm so mad at you for this New York Yankees take, dude. I'm fired up. I need to calm down a little bit. I need to not be so, exaggeratory. I'm trying to find the word there. I need to not be so, I'm talking a big game here. I'm saying a lot of big dramatic words. These are the worst uniforms in sports, though, by far. The San Diego Padres City Connect uniforms. I'm insulted by these. I really am. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. You should have known this was coming, Javi, because I said it on your podcast before. At least I'm consistent when I come on here. I stand up my word. My word is true. I stay true to my word. And back then I said that the worst uniform in sports is the San Diego Padres City Connect uniforms. And I'm saying it again. That's my take, and I stand on it. I'm an American. I'm dug in. I'm like Mac and Always Sunny. I'm dug in, and I ain't changing.
Just want to throw it out there that while I let you have your incorrect take, I actually let you continue. I let you do your whole thing without interrupting. Just want to throw that out there. Just to give an idea for everybody listening of the two parties at play here. Which one
I
will be
can't tell if you're
respectful.
actually mad at me or not. I'm not actually mad at you. I'm play fighting. I can't tell if you're actually fighting with me, though.
I think my take on this is let's give our rankings one more time. I don't need to defend it because there is not one living, breathing soul in the world who thinks that the Padres have the worst uniform in the history of baseball. So, Ethan, read from number 10 to number 1, your final list.
All right. So, OLI, Pirates Red 2008. Number 10, every Rays uniform since they ditched the purple and green. Number 9, the White Sox 1976 shorts uniforms. Number 8, the Miami Marlins from 2012 to 2018. Number 7, the Astros current Navy uniforms. Number 6, the Rays faux-back uniforms. Number 5, everything Players Weekend involved. A special shout out to the all black and white uniforms. Number 4, the entire Turn Ahead the Clock collection. Those were bad, except the Rockies. Now that we've talked it out, except for the Rockies ones were good. Number 3, the Diamondbacks from 2016 to 2023. Number 2, the Boston Red Sox City Connect uniforms. And number 1, the San Diego Padres City Connect uniforms. That is my list of the 10 worst baseball uniforms ever.
Not bad, except for the end. My list, my finalized list.
Also not a bad list until the end, by the way. Your list also not bad until the end.
I think that for my list, we're going to replace the Pirates one. We're going to take the Pirates one out. All right? We're going to take that one out because of what Ethan enlightened me to. Number 10 is the Baltimore Orioles City Connect. They bother me too much. Number 9 is the Red Sox St. Patrick's Day. All right? Number 8 is the Padres camouflage uniform. Okay? Everyone, and I gave a bunch of different gradients for that, but everybody gets my point at this, hour and a half into this podcast. After that, wait, so what am I on? I forgot. Well, I don't know which number I'm on.
I was going for my take.
Orioles, St. Patrick's Day, and then Padres. So that means we're on number 7. The Montreal Expos. I'm going to go actually with number 7 because, again, of some new information that we learned. Number 7 will be the Montreal Expos. Then number 6 is going to be the green and bluish, whatever they're called, that Diamondbacks uniform that I said, the diamond and then the backs. After that, the Players Weekends, black and white specifically uniforms. Then after that, we're going with the Houston Colt 45s. Then after that, we're going with the Mercury Mets. Holy dear God, I am astounded by how bad those things were. Could argue they're number 2. Then the Lehigh Valley tuxedo uniforms, and then the Yankees away uniforms. That's my final list. Ethan,
I think it's a
finish up this
I think
podcast.
It's a fine list until the end. Like I said, man, I really do. I think it's a fine list until the end. But that's just how it goes, man. It's all right. It's all right. We agree to disagree here, and that's what makes this podcast fun. That's why
Ethan,
I love coming on.
It's time for the awards segment of the podcast.
Well, we have to
For
do our favorite uniform ever.
I know
That's going to be
an
on
award.
Really Awards.
That's an award. That's an award. We've got 2 awards, everybody. We've got the Keith Olbermann Award for worst take of the week, and then we've of course got. I didn't come up with a fancy, really kind of name for it, but I don't know. I'll go with just who's someone that's like really known in pop culture for uniforms. Captain America. I think that's a guy.
Sure.
He's big on
Captain
uniforms,
America.
I feel like. Well, the Captain America Award for our favorite uniform ever. Ethan, across all sports, what's your favorite? Let the good people know.
All right. So this is some recency bias here, and this is a very, very specific uniform. But to my left, hanging here, is my Florida Panthers jersey that I wore during Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. And it's also the jersey that I dumped champagne all over when the Panthers won. And I got a bottle of champagne from the bar I was at and sprayed it all over everybody and then dumped it on my head. One of the greatest nights of my life. And this specific uniform, Matthew Tkachuk, it's got the 2024 Stanley Cup Final patch on it. Means a lot to me. And it's currently hanging in my room, where it will hang until the first game of the Panthers season next year, which I will be in attendance for to watch them raise the banner. And then it will go into a frame and be retired forever and never come out. And it won't be washed. It'll have the smell of champagne in it forever. And there will be a picture of me celebrating the Stanley Cup Final. And this jersey just means a lot to me because that win, that Stanley Cup champion win, must remind everybody that the Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions. As you can see right here, I am Lord Stanley. And because of that jersey just means a lot to me right now. And that is certainly my favorite uniform that I own. And I don't think we have the greatest uniforms ever, but I do love this jersey. Now, if we're talking about something else, 4:00, I'm going to finish up and then, NCAA football is now officially out. But if we're talking about greatest uniforms ever, like my favorite, dude, I'm going to be honest, it's like Penn State football. I just love a solid blue top, white pants with a white helmet with a stripe down the middle, just the numbers. And there's just something. I went to Happy Valley to visit my cousin who went there. Shout out to Helen.
Nice.
In 2021, and I went to a football game there, and we just had the best time. And that logo is so great, and that uniform is just, there's just something about it, man. And like I said, I'm a sucker for the classics. So a little off the board, you might think I might have gone baseball there or something. Like you could go the Rockies purples, you could go the Mariners aquas, you could go the Pittsburgh Steelers uniforms. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers uniforms. You could go the Dolphin aquas. Those are definitely, for me, probably out of my teams, my favorite uniforms. Of course, I love the Gator jerseys as well. But for right now, my number one favorite jersey of all time is my champagne-soaked Matthew Tkachuk Stanley Cup Final 2024 edition, because it means a lot to me, and it'll live forever. One day I'll hang it up in my house, and it'll always be a nice reminder of that incredible night that the Panthers won their first Stanley Cup. I wanted to tell that. I took that moment selfishly to tell that story because that story I wanted to share it publicly because it means a lot to me. So yeah, that is my favorite jersey of all time.
Not bad, man. I respect it. Man, part of me is tempted to go in a lot of different ways. I think that the Mets City Connect uniforms are some of the coolest things I've ever seen. It represents New York. I love those.
Those are great.
I could go Team Puerto Rico, World Baseball Classic, for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
those are some nominees.
That was a special run, dude. That was a special run.
Absolutely, it was special.
Run. Yeah,
it was amazing, and I'm very upset that they beat the best team outside Japan in the last one. That was then ruined because of Edwin Diaz's injury. But we still won. All of you out there, remember who's still one of the superpowers in baseball.
Absolutely.
My number one favorite uniform of all time, and this might surprise you, old New Orleans Hornets yellow uniforms.
Oh, really? The yellow ones, dude. I love those blue ones.
I forgot to bring
and let
my
me tell you, like, for way back when Chris Paul was on the Hornets, I loved Chris Paul. I wanted him to win the MVP that year. That he should have won the MVP. I can't remember if it was 2005. It wasn't the D Wade year. It was another year. And Chris Paul should have won MVP. And I was really upset that he didn't win. I loved Chris Paul. And I do love those uniforms. The yellow one, though, that's interesting, dude. That's a little off the board. I want to hear why you like them, Javi.
I don't know. It was the first time I like fell in love with any basketball player, and that was Chris Paul back then. And
Yeah,
I
he was
just
the
like the
man.
yellow. They felt so much different from anything else going on around the time. I
Mhm.
understand that there were yellow uniforms out there, but it just really worked for me. I have the hat somewhere in my house right now. I not that I
That's
lost it
awesome.
or anything. I just don't have it on me. I just genuinely forgot to bring it for this podcast. But it's the thing. It just says NOLA. They changed like all the font and all that stuff to just say NOLA. That's my number one favorite ever. And it's still not close for me. It's still my favorite uniform of any sport,
That's awesome.
and I love it. Simple as that.
That's what's great about uniforms, man, is there's that bit of nostalgia that comes with them, and it's like something that is from a life, from another time and from your life, and something that means something to you throughout your life. You know what I mean? And I think that's why we get so passionate about uniforms, man. Like, you said, I remember you had a great line on the last pod we did, which is that uniforms are the thing that we get most upset about for absolutely no reason. And I could not agree with you more. I get really irrationally upset about uniforms for absolutely no reason.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love that about uniforms. So I respect that you have a uniform that means a lot to you, because I have plenty of uniforms that mean a lot to
Mhm.
me as well.
We love that. We love uniforms. But Ethan, to close off this podcast, let's talk about some things
Oh,
we don't like. It's
I've
the Keith
got a
Olbermann
doozy.
Award for nuclear level bad take. Mine is kind of serious, and I want to end this podcast in a fun way. So I'm going to go first, actually. Mine, because again, we've been off from this podcast for a little bit, so we missed a couple things. But for me, my winner goes to Brandon Tierney of WFAN Sports for the 85th time this year, talking about how the Mets or the Yankees, but the Mets in this case, if they want to make a push, blah, 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 that they should go sign Trevor Bauer. Um, my take on this is I want to have some sympathy for people who don't know how the law works because it's really complicated and not easy. But fundamentally, I think to start, people need to understand that charges not being brought, charges being dropped does not mean anyone is innocent or guilty. It's nothing. It means that the charges were dropped. That's what that means. I think that it's worth listening to women when it comes to these things. I think
Absolutely.
it's worth listening to them always. I think that there's something called discovery and there's independent cases. That's why Major League Baseball, that's why you haven't seen all the many videos. If you literally go and look back at some other things, in June, U.S. Magistrate Judge Autumn D. Spaeth ordered Bauer to turn over all information related to his Major League Baseball suspension. She also rejected Bauer's motion to quash document and deposition subpoenas for 4 women. 4. That's another thing, guys. There's a lot of people here. I know everyone likes to share that one girl who had the video or whatever that, oh, well, she was fine because famously, yeah, okay. And then, oh, because there's one text message that Bauer himself, the guy who's rich and has the biggest platform and can control everything. I recommend everyone understands that media is biased. Reporters can have bias, but your alternative cannot be, so that's why I listen to one person. You cannot say, oh, I listen to I hate MSNBC and all this stuff, so I listen to Joe Rogan. Yeah, Joe Rogan definitely doesn't have any incentive to make you want to come to his channel and tell you not to listen to everybody else. So keep that in mind. And once again, the discovery thing, there's a reason why teams aren't signing this guy. Guess what? You really think that in sports, Deshaun Watson had about how many cases against him? Now, the criminal ones got finished. Okay, that one was okay. But he had about like 80 bajillion civil ones. The Cleveland Browns gave him the largest guaranteed money in the history of football. So the idea that, oh, because baseball doesn't give a shit. What are you talking about? Does it help his case? Of course not. So baseball's like, yeah, we're not going to feel good. This guy trashed us a bunch of times. There's a reason no one has signed this guy, and it's because it's bad out there. And I think that we're not going to find that stuff out because that's what happens when you're not going to local police and it's not on the public record and whatnot. I just fundamentally think that continuing to peddle this take is engagement farming, it's rage farming, and
Yep.
it shows a fundamental lack of interest in hearing from other people. And I'm really tired of it. And Brandon Tierney, you can go jump in a hole. And I hope the Mets miss the playoffs. Go ahead, Ethan.
Yeah, I I couldn't agree with you more on everything you said.
And by the way,
there's
everyone go
people.
check out my friend Emily Nyman, her podcast Breaking Balls. She did an episode with one of Bauer's accusers that lays out a little bit more fundamentally everything about this. But just overall, please, I beg you, actually look into this more instead of just saying, well, Bauer said this, so he's innocent. Go on.
Yeah, I think too often, there was a soccer player who had
Mm.
an absurd amount of similar sexual harassment charges, and one of them was dropped, and
It's like, guys,
people
Greg
took
Hardy.
that as people took
like
that as
he got let back into the league, and we
Yeah.
literally saw the photos. Enough, guys. Enough.
Yeah. Took
Go ahead.
it, like I said, it just people take it as validation, as, oh, see, people lie, and
Mhm.
women lie, and they're not always telling the truth, and they're just trying to, it makes me sick. A lot of there's some Marlin fans
Yeah,
out
the
there
line
that
thing is bad.
want to
Mhm.
sign Trevor Bauer, and I couldn't disagree with them more. Nobody should sign that guy. The
Mhm.
accusations are bad enough. And to have multiple stories, kind of, I don't want to get too much into this.
Yeah,
I'll just say
I
that
get
I
it.
agree with everything. I'll say that I agree with everything you said.
Oh,
Yeah, it makes me sick. And also that you put me in a really tough spot to transition out of here. So I'm just gonna do it in
don't
the
worry, I'll
only
help
way
you
I
out
know
too.
how, which is awkwardly. So anyway, all right, my take of the week is from one of our favorites, Javi. We were talking before the show about how much we love this guy. He's just the best. Bob Nightingale.
Yes,
He's
our
just
guy.
a
We love him.
he's just a classic baseball reporter, just trying to do his job in a world that he doesn't really understand. And there's a lot of baseball writers just like him that are just trying to do their job in a world that they don't really understand. And all they want to do is talk about baseball. All they know how to do is talk about baseball. And so they're just trying to, but they're also trying to show that, hey, I'm on, and sometimes they do great things and sometimes they mess up. And Bob Nightingale, God love him, has had a couple of clearly his heart was in the right place, but he just kind of danced around the subject and didn't really know how to say it. So we'll go back to this classic from the 2020 draft, which, everything in 2020 was just ridiculous. Everybody was saying
Really
ridiculous things,
everything.
just trying to show, hey, I'm an ally.
Yeah.
I'm an ally. I promise. So he
Remember
tweeted back in
real quick,
2020.
do
Yeah.
you remember like the fake, like the "What if COVID continued" movie that they tried to push? Do you remember that? It was like, we're on
No.
COVID 22, and they tried to
Yeah,
make that into a movie. I don't know if you remember.
I don't
Again,
remember.
we all were just in
2020
pain.
was, it was just ridiculous. So anyway, back in 2020 during the draft, the Cubs took Ed Howard out of Chicago. And Bob Nightingale tweeted, "The Cubs draft Ed Howard. Yes, showing action instead of hollow words." One of my favorite tweets of all time. The MLB draft was last night. We're recording this on Monday, so it was on Sunday, July 14th. And it was a great step for the game in terms of trying to improve diversity in the game, and I think it's great. And Bob Nightingale tried to point that out, which is great. Again, like I said, his heart's in the right place. So he tweeted, "MLB draft, 9 of the first 21 players selected in the first round are black players. Hashtag diversity."
It's the hashtag. That's the
It's
thing.
the hashtag.
It's the hashtag, man.
If he had just let it out there, if he had just left it out there without the hashtag diversity and just said 9 of the first 21 players selected are black, great. That's awesome. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing that we have more black talent coming into the league. It's
Good
something that we need. It shows that the game is spreading into, other communities, and it's not just, rich white kids, like, you know what I mean? And yes, we need more diversity in the game. Guys like Andrew McCutcheon talk about it all the time. But to really just hammer it home with the hashtag diversity, it just took away from the great point that he was trying to make, and instead put the focus on him putting hashtag diversity on there, which is just, we love you, Bob. That's all I'm going to say. We love you, and just keep doing what you're doing. And it's a rough world out there, and there's a lot of minds to step on, and everybody's walking on eggshells all the time, and nobody's walking on eggshells more than Bob Nightingale. And I feel bad for him. I do, because it's not easy. It's not easy. It's a rough world out there. So Bob, we love you. We support you. And just next time, it's fair to point it out. Just next time, just leave the hashtag out of it, man. You had a good tweet. You had a good tweet that a lot of people would have been really interested in. So
he's incredible.
That's it.
And what makes him the
amazing.
best, he has blinders on.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
this man
doesn't realize.
He just tweets through it. Like, he does not care. He could
No.
tweet and just get a giant where it just keeps tweeting.
Yep.
He just does.
Heyman too, dude.
I need to meet him.
Yeah, I need to
meet
his
him.
hand. Tell him, Bob, we
I
love
don't
you.
know if it's as good
Doing
as
a
his
good
magnum opus during the lockout. Just everything that he did during the lockout, all the tweets that he was posting, that everyone was like, "What? What's going on? What do you mean we're close to a deal?" And it was, of course, not true. But it was just, well, I'm not saying what he said wasn't true. I'm just that it tended up not to happen. Bob Nightingale.
I love Bob.
And that stupid grainy like 2007 picture that he refuses to change. Just
it's the best.
But like, what's funny is like
I followed him.
He's probably so much happier than other people who use social media. You know what I mean? He probably just is like, all right,
you're right.
Tweet, and then leaves it alone. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably so much more happier
right.
than the rest of us.
You know
dude.
what? He's doing it the right way. He's doing it the right way. Just
right
again,
way, man.
Next time, you don't need the hashtag. You did good enough.
Folks, with that said, that is a great spot to end this episode, the 12th ever. The first ever 12th episode of Baseball versus the World, a podcast about how baseball relates to the rest of the world and how the rest of the world relates to baseball. Next week, going to be doing a fictional baseball character draft, because why the heck not, with another special guest. Ethan will be back at some point when we think about another category to debate and power rank the aesthetics. You're the aesthetic
Maybe
guy.
talking some baseball video games. Maybe
baseball video games. We might get in that direction. You know, there's still plenty of stuff to go on, guys. Everybody enjoy the All-Star break. And until next time, of course, stay golden and stay loving baseball. We will see you.